Hello, hello. Welcome into the PHNX Bets Daily Podcast presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, official sports betting partner of the NFL, the NBA, among others. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Shawn DePaz. I was off yesterday. We had an emergency podcast surrounding Sean Payton. I didn't get to talk to Shawn or Shane about the collapse over the weekend by the Buffalo Bills. So I'm giving Shawn the floor here to open up the show and discuss why exactly the Buffalo Bills opted to pee down their leg against the Cincinnati Bengals.
I can't give you an answer for that specific question as to why they decided to shit the bed, but what happened in that game, the defense didn't show up. But like we were talking about this before the show, I have no concerns about their defense. I think Leslie Frazier has done a great job there over the last few years. Personnel-wise, I think they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think Jordan Poyer is one of the best safeties in the NFL. Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds might be the best linebacker core in the NFL. Obviously, Von Miller being hurt, Micah Hyde being hurt for a large portion of the year, and obviously in the playoffs doesn't help. The DeMar Hamlin thing, I think as much as people wanted to make it an inspiration, was ultimately like a massive distraction for these guys. I can't imagine it was easy to play under those circumstances.
Right.
Offensively, though, oh my God. I think it finally hit me and a lot of people that the Bills have been so good that it allowed people to not pay attention to the fact that they have a bunch of nobodies on that offense. The line is good. Josh Allen, obviously a top 5 quarterback in football. Stephon Diggs, a top 10 receiver in football. Outside of that, you don't have anybody on this team that would start anywhere else, I don't think. The running back core is weak. Cole Beasley and Gabe Davis were your 2 and 3 targets. Dawson Knox is great, but he didn't do much for a lot of this season. Offensively, they just don't have weapons. And you can't rely on Josh Allen being a magic man every single game. That's only going to get you so far. And it obviously only got them to the divisional round of the playoffs this year for the second year in a row. So for me, the problem with that team is their offensive personnel, which can be fixed. Hopefully I am right, though, that is the only problem. I don't think McDermott is a problem. He's Josh Allen. He's Brett Favre. You got to live with the mistakes because of the things he can do in a positive manner. But it just is what it is. This is going to be the next few years of the AFC. It's going to be, I have a feeling that it's going to be the Buffalo Bills just kind of hoping they can get the Bengals or the Chiefs on a bad year or a bad game in the playoffs. But it is not a good time to be a Bills fan.
No, I mean, and the AFC is a gauntlet. And speaking of that, there was a report this morning that we're going to leave the show with that Aaron Rodgers could be on the move to the AFC. And you don't float this out there unless there's tangible evidence behind it from Peter King stating that Aaron Rodgers, if he's traded, the Packers want to do two things. One of which, they're not going to trade him in the NFC, which is just it's just the kings of pettiness. Of course, they don't want the best package. They just said, don't come and haunt us in the NFC like Favre did once upon a time when he came back with Minnesota. They want to trade him in the AFC, and that would make sense. And then number 2 is they want 2 first-round picks, and I would balk at that for how old Aaron Rodgers is.
Yeah.
But there are already fresh odds on the DraftKings Sportsbook app supporting that narrative under off-season specials for which NFL team will Aaron Rodgers take his first next regular season snap in 2023. We're going to preface all this by saying the Packers are still the favorite at -125. But before we get into the odds, the picks, Shawn, what do you make of this Rodgers saga? Do you think it's finally going to come to an end? We talk about Jordan Love. They have to pick up his 5th-year option, right? They have to know what they have from him. He looked much better this year than he did the prior year. He was a Gutekunst guy. He's been under the same offensive unit for 3 years now. So now he's got to play. And that means Aaron Rodgers, I would think, having a record of 8-9 this year would be on the move.
Yeah, well, it concerns me because I think you look at the AFC and the AFC East specifically as a rather quarterback. Well, it's not necessarily quarterback needy, but I think you are.
Oh, I think it is. I think it definitely is.
At the very least, it's a division with 3 teams that Aaron Rodgers would be an improvement at quarterback. So whether or not any of those teams decide to actually try and go get a quarterback, I think is a question. The Jets need to, in my opinion, but concerning as a Bills fan for sure. I am still in the boat that I don't think he plays next year. I think it's over for Rodgers. I don't understand why he would, but if he does get traded to an AFC team and he has say in where he goes, for the same reason that I think Brady could end up there, the Jets make a lot of sense. Really good defense, great offensive weapons. Obviously, Breece Hall is going to be back at some point next year. So, like, the Jets make a lot of sense for, I think, for a quarterback, especially one later in their career that is looking to win right now. The Jets, I think, of the AFC teams, might be one of the best, be in one of the best positions for a quarterback in that situation. So
it's super ironic because LaFleur's brother was the OC with the Jets this year, and Zach Wilson's atrocious play got his ass fired.
yeah.
So it's like, would they bring him back? It's like, no, we're just kidding. We have Aaron Rodgers now. Come back and run this system. I think the Jets make a lot of sense. We're going to talk about our picks that you can get right now on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Scroll all the way over, click on NFL and off-season specials. It's one of my favorite things to do right now because the odds, Sean, are so robust with a lot of these picks because even Vegas doesn't know who exactly to pinpoint as the favorite. And speaking of our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, we got 4 NFL teams left, 2 conference championship games to kick off this weekend. So unfortunately, only a few more shots to win big on the playoffs with our friends at DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. We're counting down to Super Bowl 57. And guess what? New customers can bet just $5 and get a $200 free bet instantly. $200 in free bets if you put down just $5. You don't have to win. You don't have to pick the spread, the money line correctly. Just put a 5 spot. Go put a 5 spot on Kansas City, on the Bengals that are now 2.5-point favorites in Kansas City, which is crazy to me. Speaking of crazy, it's crazy if you haven't downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app yet. You got to use that promo code PHNX. Again, new customers, they're betting $5 on the conference championships. Get $200 in free bets instantly. That's only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details. So diving in to some of our off-season specials here. I'll get us started, Sean. I like Tom Brady to depart, I like Aaron Rodgers to depart. And you guessed it, the Jets make a ton of sense for Aaron Rodgers, plus 650, which is just, I mean, you start connecting the dots. I think that's the most likely team. They're not going to draft a quarterback. They're going to be in the veteran quarterback market. Zach Wilson, by all accounts, if you listen to some of the insiders, he'll never take another snap for that team. So they're saying, we've got a championship level defense. We've got Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. We got Breece Hall coming back. We just need the quarterback. Rodgers comes in, doesn't have to do too much. I think they're going to be a contender if they get Rodgers. And speaking of contenders, what if Lamar Jackson stays in the Ravens? Now, I know I'm second-guessing myself with my next line there, but I do think there's a good chance DeAndre Hopkins goes to the AFC. And I think once upon a time, Anquan Bolden went from the Cardinals to the Ravens. How about DeAndre Hopkins at plus 750? Everybody, including myself, Sean, wanted to connect D-Hop to the Patriots. But what did the Patriots do this morning? They hired Bill O'Brien. DeAndre Hopkins has a no-trade clause. He says, no, I'm not going to go play for Bill O'Brien again. Are you out of your mind? Even Bill Belichick couldn't court him there. So I think the Patriots crossed them off the list.
Yeah.
And I think the Ravens have emerged as a team. If Lamar comes back, even if he doesn't, they need a number 1 receiver. The Cardinals did business last year. They traded Hollywood Brown from Baltimore to the Cardinals. And then
Johnny,
that gives what?
No, I was just going to say, like I said to you before the show, it makes a lot of sense. I think Lamar is gone, and obviously, like you contradict yourself a little bit. If Lamar is gone, they're not trading for D-Hop, so it changes things a lot. The Buffalo Bills need a wide receiver. I think the Bills are like plus 2,000 to end up with D-Hop. I don't know if they actually could do it, like logistically speaking. But from a pure fit perspective, I think D-Hop to a team like the Buffalo Bills, who might be panicking a little bit right now, makes a lot of sense.
Let's see if we can get those odds on DraftKings right now. Buffalo on DraftKings to acquire DeAndre Hopkins. I don't even think I can get those odds. I mean, those odds are so outside the box here on DraftKings. They are not yet available. We've got the Saints at plus 3,000, the Bengals 2,500, the Jets 3,500. The Chiefs and the Packers are in the forefront at plus 380 and plus 450.
Bills are plus 4,000.
4,000. I didn't even scroll down far enough to see that. That's crazy. What's not crazy is I think Lamar Jackson ends up in the NFC South next year with either Tampa, with either Carolina or with either the Atlanta Falcons. I guess the Saints could also be in play. Falcons, to me, feels like he's destined to play there. It feels like they've moved on. They fired their offensive coordinator. A lot of shifting around in Baltimore. And then I'm going to give you a little taste because we're going to talk a lot about this on Cardinals later. Next Colts coach, Raheem Morris, plus 900. They've interviewed him. They were super impressed by him. I'm not buying this Jeff Saturday nonsense. They didn't have a chance to interview DeMeco Ryans, and I think that they want a CEO, executive level head coach he's been a head coach before. He was with a head coach with Tampa once upon a time. I think Raheem Morris at almost plus 1,000. Put a 10 spot on that. You win almost $100. I love that, and I love the odds on DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. The coaching carousel is one of my favorite parts of the year. It's always interesting to see where people end up. I don't have any coach props, but I do have player props. I'm going to skip right to the big one at the very bottom. Lamar Jackson, you are a Detroit Lion. Now, obviously, this is far-fetched because it's plus 2,000. That's part of why I'm taking it. But I think you look at the Lions, they've got an amazing young receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, better than any receiver that Lamar has played with in his career, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Great running back. Jamison Williams, DeAndre Swift, like all of these offensive weapons they have. I like it. They have pieces defensively, right? I think they have the foundation to end up having a rather good defense. I think they have a coach that guys love to play for, and then they have all the cap space in the world for a guy like Lamar. And then they also have trade bait. They have a guy like Jared Goff, who I think is still a very serviceable quarterback. And if the Ravens aren't ready to completely punt on trying to be a good team, getting Jared Goff in return can still put them in a decent position to compete in the AFC North. I just think it's fascinating. I am with you in the Falcons train. I do think that is a very likely option and probably my favorite option. But at plus 2,000, I think Lamar can bring the Lions to another level. I think it is an interesting to look at with those odds. Moving on from that,
I like that option. Real quick on Lamar. That shows that they're not being placeholders and prisoners of the moment with Jared Goff, and they're looking for an upgrade. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I think it could work, but like I said, far fetched. It's plus 2,000 for a reason. Otherwise, Brady to the Jets. I do think that if they end up getting a quarterback, it's going to be one of these old veteran guys in Brady or Rodgers. I still think that both of those guys don't play next year. I think they both retire, but if they don't, I think the Jets are going to end up with one of those guys, especially with odds at plus 1,000. All of you get to play Belichick twice a year. You get to play the Dolphins twice a year, which he obviously has an interesting relationship with that franchise. I just think it would be interesting. D-Hop to the Giants. Like I had said last time we talked about this, after what Danny Dimes has done this year, I think they have to commit to him. And if you're going to commit to him, you got to give him weapons. The receivers that they have on that team right now are clearly not good enough. I think trading for a guy like D-Hop shows your fans, it shows your quarterback, it shows your team that you're actually trying to win right now. And so I like him to the Giants. And then Derek Carr to the Colts. It just seems like it makes too much sense, which is probably why it's not going to happen. But you still get it at plus 450 odds. I like it. I just think he fits that team, that culture. I do agree with people have talked before about them maybe not wanting to go down the free agent route again and going to draft a quarterback. But if they don't, of the free agent quarterbacks, I just think Derek Carr fits that team too well. And like I said, at plus 450 odds, it's too good for me to pass.
And he's got a bonus that kicks in early this offseason. So word is if we get a Derek Carr trade, which it sounds like we're guaranteed now with Josh McDaniels moving on from him and playing Jarrett Stidham in the final couple of games, I think we're going to get a Derek Carr like pre-free agency trade announcement. Pending physicals, Derek Carr, once free agency begins, will be a New York Jet or an Indianapolis Colt or whatever. So we're going to get a lot of movement. So you better get busy getting your movement in on DraftKings, getting your bet in right now. Again, new customers, $5. You get a free $200 in free bets. Promo code PHNX. The offseason specials, man, they're coming in fast and furious. We've got more head coaching talk on PHNX Cardinals later today. Myself and Bo Brock, 4 p.m. Give you the very latest as it relates to Dan Quinn, Sean Payton, Brian Flores. Who does it favor? And we're also going to give you our 5 vacant predictions on the show live. Sean, what do you got for the folks with the Sun Devils on tap later today?
Nothing today, but make sure you follow us on Twitter at PHNX_Sun Devils. I don't know if you knew this, Johnny. Our swim program is unstoppable. Like
Wow.
number one in the country.
Which should be.
The
The
men's.
weather here's beautiful, so everybody's swimming year round.
Yeah. Yet the Nationals are in Washington. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't get that.
It should be here. Neither here nor there. Our program is going to compete wherever. But yeah, tap in PHNX_Sun Devils. We got it all for PHNX Sports. A lot of basketball talk recently. So if you're into ASU basketball, check us out.
Check us out. Check us out on Twitter. He's at Shawn_Deposit. I'm at Johnny Venerable. Shano and I are back. Yana. We'll see you on cards later today. Everybody like and subscribe to PHNX Sports on YouTube. Bye, everybody.